guys, Mike with Insightful Imagery. I promised you guys a little video too on the Lume Cube on when I actually started using it with this Texas Chainsaw Massacre figure. And today I'm going to shoot Texas Chainsaw Massacre figure, and I'm going to use the Lume Cube in there. And I found out another really cool feature about the Lume Cube in the app. I know I said I probably wasn't going to use the app, but it does really offer some cool advantages in the studio. The brightness slider, let me grab my phone. I want to show you something on here. You can take, let me open up the Lume Cube app and show you real quick. If we go over here to Lume Cube and we turn everything on, it actually turns my Lume Cube on in the back. But you can adjust on the brightness slider, you can get the Lume Cube lower in brightness than you can by just pushing the video mode button on the left, and cycling through the 10, power settings. You can get the power lower by using the app, which really came in handy today, because I'm like, man, I put this light behind, I'll show you the set in a second. I put the light behind the Lume Cube behind Leatherface, behind a window that I made with a blue gel, and I'm like, man, it's still pretty bright. I need to put something, between the Lume Cube and the window in order to, like a scrim or something, but or because I don't have much room to move the Lume Cube back. But I decided to turn on the app and give it a shot here in the studio, and it just happens to be that I found out that I could make the brightness of the Lume Cube go even lower than I could just by turning it on and using it independently of the app. So that being said, I'll probably use the app in the studio. So anyway, let me show you guys what I'm doing today. This video is it's about the photography, but it's also to touch, to sort of incorporate the Lume Cube in it. So it kind of goes with the unboxing, but it's also just a really cool toy photography video. So I've created a scene with my Leatherface, my 7-inch Neca Texas Chainsaw Massacre figure in here, and I did an unboxing on that, so I can put the link up on the screen now. If you guys want to see that, check that figure out. It's really cool. And I created this scene for him with sliding metal doors and a sort of a wooden building storefront kind of thing with some chains hanging in there. And a few different things, and he's standing up, and you can see the bloody floor and footprints. Then I've also got these chains. I'm just going to give you an overhead view. I've got a ball of Christmas lights here that I have off to the side, casting some side lighting on Leatherface, so it's a real directional lighting. The big thing about this, more than the diorama pieces and stuff, to me, is the ability to create photography using toys, but with different color temps. Look here, I've got the Lume Cube outside, okay, on video mode, constant light source. It's shining through this window. That's one color temp. Okay, because I put a blue gel in front of it. The Lume Cube is 6,000 K by itself, but I put a blue gel to simulate moonlight outside. Okay, then inside this diorama, I've got these Christmas lights that are tungsten. They're a lot warmer. I don't know what the color temp is, beyond 6,000. They're pretty dang warm. Okay, and so that gives you, 2 layers of color temp that creates this surreal type of image. When you take it into post and you polish it up, you're going to have an image with some depth to it. All that being said, a couple other considerations I need to make are, I'm going to use 200 millimeter. I love using this 200 millimeter 2.8 because of the compression that it gives. My gosh, it creates a portrait that is incredible. I bought it to do portraits with people, but I'm just loving it on action figures too. And so it's really exciting. I'm gonna set this down for a second and raise it up. There we go. And a couple other considerations I wanted to do were, do I want to use my full body frame, or do I want to use my crop sensor frame? And you know, being limited on space in my studio, I'm in a garage. The advantage to the crop sensor is it crops it in. It zooms it in even more, so it adds a lot more to that 200 millimeter Canon lens. The downside, though, is it magnifies it, you know, by 1.6, so it's like 200 and it becomes like 320. I don't have the, I want more in the frame of that, and I can't back up any further in my garage because it's only so long. So I'm probably going to use my full frame because that's going to make my 200 and still offer awesome compression, but it's going to keep more of the scene in frame. And that's what I want. I created all this really cool scene. I don't want to lose it, you know, out here because my, you know, field of view is so narrow. So I think I'm going to use my 5D Mark II, because I'm poor. I don't have a 3 or 4 yet. I'm on a budget, baby. I'm just trying to have fun. And I would like a Mark III or Mark IV. I'll take a Mark III. I don't need a Mark IV. And here's another thing, too. You know, and it touches on this whole art. If you're having a good time, it's easy to buy things that you don't need, that are packed full of features that you're not going to use. I shoot these toys on this Canon 5D Mark II. I don't know what year that came out, but it came out a long time ago. But it does the job. It gives me great images on a full frame sensor. You know what I'm trying to say is that it works for what I'm doing. I'm not shooting sports with it, which is a good thing because it's like 3 frames a second. And, you know, it serves the purpose. Nobody cares at the end of the day what camera you have. They care about the image that's produced. And that's kind of the way I look at it. Yeah, I would like to have something a little newer, but is it really going to change my photography? Is it really going to change, at the end of the day, you know, what I'm doing here in the studio? I mean, technically, in some ways, it may a little bit. You know, better, you know, low noise, better, you know, maybe some touch screen on the back or something a little easier. But you know what? At the end of the day, I'm doing all this on manual focus, in manual mode, and all that stuff I don't need. I'd like to have it, but anyway, I don't want to get carried away. I just want to share with you guys that you don't need to have all the latest and greatest everything to just come into your garage and shoot some photos of your toys. You know, you don't need it. You might look cool and sound cool, but beyond that, man, have fun taking these photos. And, you know, if your budget allows you to get some cool stuff, get it. I'd spend my money on lenses instead of bodies. Lenses are going to be a better choice for me right now than new camera bodies. I've got 2 camera bodies that I use, and I'm good with that. And each has its own advantage for different type of photography. But if you're going to invest money in something, do it in lenses. My next lens choice is going to be a 50 mil, you know, 1.4. Yeah, Canon 1.4. I think it's 1.4 L, and I really like that lens. I haven't needed one before, but right now I'd like to have one. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and turn some lights off, and we're going to get started. I'm going to take some images, and I'll put them up on the screen as we go. Okay, guys, so I'm back. I want to show you real quick what I've got set up as far as lighting goes for this set, and show you some settings and explain a couple things about why my settings are the way they are and different... rotate this around. Why my settings are the way they are, and some different things I have to consider when shooting with light positions, and maybe some chains hanging, and just little different things that come into play when you're doing photography on these little toys, things that you see through the viewfinder. You know, the chain might be blocking his face a little bit too much, so we got to move the chain. Little miniature, pun intended, details that really have an impact on the final image. So let's rotate it around. Okay. Let me go ahead and discuss what I got going on here. Okay. My main light for this scene is a big ball of Christmas lights. Okay. I started with the Christmas lights directly overhead, and I didn't like that. So I felt lighting from the side was going to create a lot more drama, and it always, side lighting always creates drama. It brings out textures, and you hear me say that in some of my other videos. Side lighting brings out texture. The whole idea about this scene is texture and drama. You know, it's not a portrait. We don't need his face evenly lit and smooth and glowing. Okay. He can pay me for that at another time. So my main light are these Christmas lights, and I've balled them up in a ball, and I've hidden them just below the building so they're not in frame. Then I've got some chain that I just hot glued to a stick, and I can take this stick and move it anywhere I want. You know, it's just setting up on, it's just set up on top of these buildings. I've created, since all my pieces are modular, I've just put a little quick brace between the two walls so my clumsy self doesn't knock it down while I'm fumbling around in here adjusting things. Now, another thing to consider is, oh, watch this GoPro going inside the warehouse. What? Anyway, that chain behind Leatherface was originally in front of Leatherface, and in frame in the viewfinder, it was blocking too much of his face, and I didn't like that. Oh, look at this, man! I can 3D tour of the warehouse. Stupid. This floor diorama piece was one that I actually made for a Reanimator figure, but it works so perfectly here. I'm like, oh, man, how awesome. So in the original Reanimator piece, it had a door. This was the door, and the door went right in there. Wait, where'd it go? Yeah, the door went right in that hole. So I just took it out, and you can't see it because it's behind the building. Gotta love photography. You only see what we want you to see. So it's really cool. So anyway, I've got the lume cube behind the window, and that lume cube is controlled by the Lume X app. I've got a blue gel fitted in front of it to create some. I've got two color temps going on here. I've got a real cool blue to simulate moonlight on the outside, a real warm tungsten on the inside. I do have a snoot and stuff on top, but I'm just using this C-stand and boom arm right now just to hold the Christmas lights. So that's not coming into play at all. Let me show you what I'm doing. I'm going to use two different camera bodies. I've got Canon 7D set up right now. I've got a 200mm 2.8 Canon L lens, which I love for toy photography and portrait photography because it compresses the image and I can make Leatherface look like he's real, man. I mean, it's just a cool lens. The problem with the lens is when you're in a small studio, you run out of space. Your minimum focusing distance becomes an issue. So what I do to combat that is I just put a I can't think of my words. I put an extension tube, not a extension tube. So anyway, so I put the extension tube on there to get the benefit of the compression of the lens and to minimize the focusing distance between the camera and subject. So what else do I want to talk about real quick? I'm going to do another shot with my full frame because what that's going to do is it's going to allow me to keep my... Oh, that's the other thing. Let me go back a second. The other issue that comes into play with the 200mm on an APS-C body is its 1.6 magnification. This lens is going to actually become 320. So my field of view on Leatherface right now, all you're seeing is his upper body and the chains in the back window. Okay, So that's the other reason I'm going to change my camera body in a minute after I do a few shots like this, so that I can get the whole front of the building and some different things by switching to my full frame sensor. That camera body will keep my 200mm at 200mm. There's no crop factor involved in there. Anyway, all right, let's take some pictures. I'm at 1/200th of a second. My aperture in this case, there's not much distance between the subject and the back wall. But I went ahead and did a 3.5 because I do want a little bit soft background. And 3.5 will give me that. There's not much, you know, and it's going to kind of intensify a little bit because I've got that extension tube on there. So 3.5, there will be some fall off. I think a greater amount of fall off than would be just if I didn't have the extension tube. And so I'll probably take 2 images and I'll stack them. I'll do one where he's in focus, his face, and then the other where his chainsaw is in focus, because there's, you know, an inch or two, there's probably 2 inches between that focal plane of his face and you know, the closest part of his body to the lens, which is the chainsaw. So I'll probably take 2 images and I'll stack them. But 3.5 is going to give me some a pretty good effect in my brain anyway. We'll see how it really looks in real life. All right. My main light is the tungsten light inside. My fill light behind is the lume cube, and I've got a real tight shot here. I've got the 200mm lens on the APS-C body, which makes that 320. I've got my extension tube on there to get closer, minimize the focusing distance because my studio is small. And I've manually focused on Leatherface's face. And we're going to go ahead and take the first shot. We're going to go down to I'm going to go down here to about a 2-second shutter speed and show you how the ambient light is controlled by the shutter speed. If you see my other videos, you already know what I'm talking about. You know, ambient light is controlled by the shutter speed. So let's go ahead and run a 2-second timer. Let's go ahead and take this first shot. 2 seconds at 3.5. Let's see what we got. Super duper bright. Okay. In order to fix that, I know I want to stay at 3.5. I know I want to stay at ISO 100. I know I want all my lights to stay the same. So what am I going to do? It's really bright. Oh, do I stop down the aperture? No. We just adjust the shutter speed. We'll go over here to a 1/2 second. We'll take the same shot. Okay. Let's take a look at this and see what we got. We're still bright. We got some blinkies. Okay. Let's zoom in on this and see what we got. Let's look at his face first. Okay, we're good with face. And actually, this shows you another point. I'm at flash. I need to set my white balance to tungsten. So let's go over here and once I figure out my camera settings, there we go. Okay, let's go over here because it's in the dark. We're going to go over here and blast that to tungsten. Okay, so we're on tungsten. Let's take the shot again just to show you what I'm talking about. And it's okay, here we go. It was really, really orange on him, and I didn't want that. I didn't want it so orange. Here we go. This is better. So we'll fix one problem at a time, okay? Like Johnny Cash said, one piece at a time. So 0044. 0033 was really orange. Okay, let's disregard the blinkies in the background and stuff like that right now. The cutter temp was way off. We're not using flashes. We're using some tungsten. And we're going to address the blinkies. What I did is I moved the lume cube to the side. It would be to camera right of the window in the back to feather the light a little bit so it's not so direct into the window. I lowered the lume cube as far as I could lower it in brightness, and it still wasn't going to be enough. So I just went ahead and moved it to the right of the frame a little bit. Let's take the shot again. See what we got now. Much nicer looking light. Much nicer looking image here, and that is going to be image 0045. Okay, I like that. That's a lot better looking. We've got some blue light falling from behind, some tungsten to the side of him, some chains hanging. His face is in focus. It's a nice image. It's a little bit warm still, and I could go through and do a custom Kelvin in here, but I think I'll just fix that in post. No big deal. The image itself is good. Now that I like that image, let's go ahead and get focus on the chainsaw, and then I'll combine those two images in Photoshop to create an image that's, you know, where his chainsaw is sharp too. Chainsaw is sharp. That's hard to say. Chainsaw is sharp. Good Lord. I'm going to go into live view. I'm going to get over here on the chainsaw, zoom in, and I'm going to roll my focus until it's in focus. Roll my focus till it's in focus. There we go, and it's in focus. Okay, we're going to take the same shot. Ding, ding, ding. Okay, now in the viewfinder, let's take a look, and we're going to have the chainsaw is sharp in this one, 0046, 0045. The chainsaw is not in focus. So we can blend those two in Photoshop and create a nice image. I know some of the images or some of the video is, you know, just of me talking while you're looking at the camera back. And, you know, I hope that during those times that I'm talking that, you know, you're not seeing a lot other than the camera settings, but I hope I'm giving you some good, useful information while you're looking at the camera back. Yay. So let me show you what I got set up right now, and it's pretty cool. So here we are, and I've rearranged a couple things. I've brought him to the front. He's peeking out this door with his chainsaw. Got some chains on his shoulder, you know, chainsaw poking out. My lighting setup is the same. We've got the Christmas tree lights from the dollar store there, the lume cube behind, okay, and we've still got the Evolv 200 out front, okay. Camera's in the same position, and let's take a look and see what this shot looks like. Let me listen to the rooster real quick. Okay, now we should have no real need to change our lighting or our shutter speed or anything like that, only because we're doing the same thing. We just got, you know, we've just got the subject Leatherface in a little different position, but everything else should remain just the same. So that being said, I'm going to take a picture and you know, just kind of see where everything's at. We're at the same settings as we were in the last images. We're at 08, we're at f3.5, ISO 100. White balance is set to flash, 10-second timer. Okay, the only thing I need to do different here is go ahead and switch into live view, lock focus on our awesome model. There we go. Do it at 5 times and then do it once at 10 times. Okay. There we go. We've got focus on him. Come back out of live view. I'm going to shut everything off. And we're going to take a shot and see how everything's looking. 10-second timer. We're going to fire this all off and make sure, like I say, everything's still in the same position. Here we go. Ding. Let's take a look and see what we're working with. Show me what you got. Okay. 0069. It's not a bad image. I think we've got a lot of blue going on that I'm really not a fan of this much blue. I think what we could do is we could do a couple things. The blue on the outside is fine, but it's hitting him, and I don't really think I like so much blue shining on his face. I'm going to change the position of my Evolv 200, and I could do a cutscene and do that, but I think I'm just going to, there's a just come up here and do it while it's on camera. I'm going to come over here and shine this light downward, and I'll show you here. I'll bring the camera back up and show you here. I don't want to say the name of the video camera because it'll turn off or on because it's got voice activation. Anyway, here we go. So what I've done is I've changed the position of my Evolv 200 to facing downward. Okay, that's going to be a downward facing light. I'm moving the light that much closer. I'm going to tell you already we're going to have to go down and I'm going to have to adjust the power on the Evolv 200. I already tell you we're going to have to go down a little bit in the flash duration because it's going to be that's a lot closer. So okay, let's go ahead and shut that off. Let's take a shot. Let's take a shot and see what we've got. I just didn't want as much blue light shining right on his face. It was just more blue in the scene than I wanted. But now we're looking a little bit better. Let's see, 0070. Let's zoom in on that. Yeah. Dude, that is... Oh, man. Okay. I like that. One problem, though, I'm catching is we're not getting much... I like the light on his face. I don't mind that it's half in light and half out. I don't mind that. That's dramatic. I like it. The chainsaw. I would like some more light on that chainsaw. So I think what I want to do with that is... And what I'm doing is I'm taking a flashlight and let me turn the light off so you can see the effect. Remember, we've got a slow shutter speed, so I can incorporate some light painting in here. What I'm doing is I'm taking a flashlight and I'm standing over here and I'm just putting my fingers over it, creating kind of a makeshift gobo, and I'm lighting the chainsaw. Okay, that's it. Okay, so let's take that shot again and I'm going to show you guys. Where's my wireless? Okay, we've got a 10-second timer. There we go. So that gives me time to get over here in position and just light the chainsaw with this LED flashlight. Here we go. There we go. All right, now that we've done that, let me show you on the camera back. And hey, get on here. Come on. Let's see the picture. Where'd you go? 0072. So the chainsaw issue is addressed. Okay, so I like that. I like the way this image looks. I really do. The more I nitpick at it, the more I could improve on it, and it's always going to be the case, man. Here I am again. I've got things set up a little bit different. The same lighting setup. The lights aren't any different. They're in the same spots, same positions. The only thing I did different here is I've moved my camera closer and I've changed my position of the Leatherface doll a little bit, or action figure, not doll. Okay, and but the lighting and everything is just the same. Let me show you guys real quick. This is what we've got. I've got a real tight shot, okay, of Leatherface with this. Now I've got the 200mm lens on here, and I've gotten really close, so I've put an even bigger extension tube on here. This allows me to get even closer and fill the frame with Leatherface. I'm going to show you guys on the back of the camera. Now there's a difference between filling the frame and compression. I can get this close with a macro lens, but the effect, the view isn't the same. Let me turn on live view here and I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. If I got this close with the 100mm macro, or if I got even closer, it's still not going to produce for me the same look as this. Okay, I mean, that is absolutely, that frame is full. Okay, and it looks lifelike. I mean, when I take this picture, you're going to see like, whoa. So lens choice does have a huge amount to do with the image and the believability or the hyper realism or the just boringness of an image. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'm just going to make sure I get focus. Like I say, everything is just the same on this setup. The lights and everything are just the same. I've only moved my camera and made sure that, let me put my glasses on. You get older, you gotta have glasses. Okay, we're just live view, we're focusing on Leatherface. I'm at 5 times magnification. Let's get in here to 10. Okay, and everything shakes. Boy, I tell you what, it's really shaky right there. So give it a minute to simmer down. Let me get my remote shutter. And everything is just the same. Okay, let's take a shot and see what this looks like. We're at, oh, that's right, okay. I'm going to do a little light painting with this. So, I'm at f8, 6 seconds. Now, at a 6-second exposure, really need to control any light, stray light coming into the studio. So let's go ahead and get this going. I'm going to take a shot and see what we got before we do the light paint, okay? So that make sure everything at 6 seconds is exposed right, whether I do the light paint or not, okay? So let me shut this off, and if it's exposed right, then I know I've got enough time to light paint the areas that I know are dark in the scene, and the rest of the scene is going to be exposed right because, I've got the right shutter speed, okay? Here we go. Possibly we're going to go. Let's see. Equipment only malfunctions when you need to use it, right? Okay. Oh, helps when you turn the wireless receiver on. Here we go. Dope! Okay, this is going to be a 6-second exposure. And if the 6-second exposure is correct without me light painting, then I know I've got enough, then I know the exposure is right so that I've got a long enough time to light paint the dark parts of the scene. And so that's really going to be what I'm looking for here. Cool. Okay, I like the way that looks, a lot of drama. That's image 0081. We'll put that up on the screen. Now that we're doing that, I'm going to go through with my flashlight like I showed you guys earlier. And actually, I'll go ahead and bring this here, and I'm going to show you just how I do it. Okay. Hand over the flashlight. Here we go. 6 seconds is starting. Okay, get his feet, get a little bit of his face. There we go, 6 seconds. Turn this light off. Let's take a look and see what we've got on the back of the camera. Yeah, okay. Bring this up. This is image 0082. I think I would really like to have a little bit more of the chainsaw blade. The chainsaw itself lit up a little bit more, so I could spend a little more time on the chainsaw with my flashlight. Everything else looks pretty good. So now that we know what I need to focus on in the light paint, we're going to do it. Okay, chainsaw. Everything else is secondary. Here we go, 10 seconds starting. I'm going to focus on this chainsaw. Three, 4, 5. There we go. Okay, let's take a look at that image. Make sure we got it right. Could use a little bit more time on the chainsaw. Okay, we'll do one more. It takes a second, man. This is the light painting part of it, and it's cool, man. Okay, here we go. Light paint that chainsaw a little bit better. There we go. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000. Okay, so I got the light. Should have got the chainsaw pretty good that time. Oh yeah, I can already see I did. Okay, this is image 0084. Okay, good. Looks good. I like that. Okay, we'll put that up on the screen. Let me bring this back here. Let's just get back of the camera. Okay, and I do like that one. The chainsaw is definitely lit up better. And if I wanted to, I could actually, let's do this. I'm just super picky, so let's just go back over here to live view. Focus on the chainsaw. We're going to bling that. Make 2 shots out of it because I really think that chainsaw ought to be in focus. There we go. Put my glasses on. Make sure that it is in focus. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to light paint that chainsaw again. And I think I'm going to spend probably about 4 of the 6 seconds on that chainsaw light painting it. Here we go. That should be pretty dang good. Oh yeah. Now I can blend that with the other shot and make sure that chainsaw is looking good. 0085. There we go. I don't want the video so long. I just want to share with you guys, make sure that I cover a few really good tips and tricks, and how and why and my thought process and things like that, so that maybe you could get some good info out of this video and use it in your toy photography. We covered some pretty cool little stuff. The main takeaway from this video, color temp, my lighting stayed the same. All I did was move my camera, change my lens, or change my body. I did some light painting. We went through, you know, some longer shutter speeds to get to light painting. You know, we did a few different things, but overall the lighting stayed the same. And color temperature, those layers. Background, you know, like the outside color temp, the inside color temp, and then the foreground outside color temp there too. We've got layers of color temperature that just create a super amount of interest. And to me, I really like images like that. And at any rate, like and subscribe. I hope you got some good information out of this. Check out my website, insightfulimagery.com, hosted by Squarespace. And thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it.